Good morning. Let's get on with it. Lesson three. I got a little distracted yesterday. I got a little emotional yesterday, which are enemies to progress, but actually they can be great harnessers of what we're talking about, momentum and speed. Um, I'm going to change course a little bit for this lesson, and I'm just going to speak freely about uh, kind of more controversial topics, um, specifically dealing with things like those close to you and discerning allies from enemies and how to fight in a way that is the opposite of emotional, but also deeply rooted in it. So this is kind of experimental, but let's see how it goes. Basically, the maxim, the enemy of my enemy, the enemy of my enemy, sorry, is my friend, is not true. They're all enemies, everyone. Unfortunately, this is the cold reality of life because in order to climb the ladder of power or elevate into a place where you are at the complete hegemon or zenith of some type of ascendancy or kingdom or whatever the hell you want to call it, society, you're going to have to step on some people. That's just how it is. And really, when you break it down to its most birds of my enemy, when you break it down to its most quintessential atomic components, every single human being alive is just another will that is not fully aligned with your interests because it's impossible to be fully aligned with someone else's interests because someone else's interests. Once you realize this, you realize that success, they say belongs to killers, right? Both literally and metaphorically. But what that just means is the iron heart, the cold kind of inability to feel, but to rationally, almost sociopathically conduct yourself in a way that is in accordance with Kaizen, which is a Japanese term for continuous improvement, to achieve your goals, right? So it's almost like you have to be so, not necessarily deluded a little bit, but you have to be so in love with yourself that everyone else is expendable. Once you get here, you notice that it's a very, 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 very isolating thing, success. Very isolating because you have to have the Napoleon complex. You have to have that Ali complex. Otherwise, you just won't get there because you're going to be too focused on other people. These other people are going to have their dreams and emotions and feelings and thoughts about things. And all it's going to do is serve as an impediment to get in your way. So the most important thing is to detach yourself completely from any notion that, you know, we're all in this together. No. Yeah, we are, but you're in here with me. You know what I mean? This is not a collaboration team project. For example, do you know that person, right? I used to be that person in school where they would put me in a team project and I would go, oh, fuck, because what would always happen is I would have other people kind of have their ideas, and I thought it was great, and then all of a sudden they want to be enacting these ideas, and then they're slow, or there's someone's birthday, or someone's got something going on, right? And what would happen? I kid you not. This is how I would every single time. Every single time. It would be a clue. Well, it would be a clue, but it'd be obvious. I would take charge, and I would enact those rules that I showed you, speed, so sagaciously that it was unquestionable. It was I was ineluctable. I was not untenable. You couldn't stop me. You finished the project in 2 days, right? After as it's week doing a week. The whole the whole group is kind of quasi pissed at me because I've already finished the whole project. But the thing is, I finish it because when you finish and you work at that operation at speed, when you work like that, no one else can really have their input because they're operating at lower vibrations. They're operating fundamentally at a slower pace or tempo. And what happens is you don't let the opinions or thoughts of other people dilute yours. It's very dangerous because you spread your spores to these people involuntarily just by their association. There's guilt by association, but the reason why it works, the reason why it sticks, is because you're a winner. And I always would get the best grades. I always would get the best grades. So they had no choice but to shut up and follow the instructions. You become a general. And in some respects, a tyrant. And this, unfortunately, is what's necessary for complete domination and victory in your endeavors. You have to go at it alone. There is no compatriot. There is no associate. The lessons of Julius Caesar, the lessons of Kublai Khan, the lessons of Napoleon show this. All of those people had either their government, their closest compatriots, their closest friends, their closest associates turn on them in the end. Because envy doth mock what it sees, or something like that, trying to go Shakespearean. But I suppose you also need to tactically feign stupidity sometimes, as in appear non-menacing while being extremely capable and proficient in whatever you do, because that is also one of the strongest strengths you can do. I used to have an investor and a close friend who told me he never wears suits anymore. This person ran one of the biggest law firms in Hong Kong. And I asked him, his name was Mark, I asked him, why? Why do you keep dressing like a kid? He's a 6-year-old prominent lawyer. Why do you keep dressing like a kid? Well, first of all, I'm retired. And second of all, I love when people underestimate me. I just love it. It's kind of turned something in my head for me. And I realized what you see really is not all it's all that there is. This is a game of mirrors, a game of deception. You know, you see one thing in the mirror, but you look at it from the other angle, and it's a completely different view. The point is, people put faces on. People always will change their appearance for the propagation of their goals, for the capitalizations of what said appearance may bring them. Right? Yeah, it's all nice and dandy to be dressed in a suit and very professional all the time, but real power doesn't announce itself. Real power is quiet. Real power is appraising you. It is in the surveillance. It is in intelligence. It is in the background. It's oftentimes the person you least expect. Marcus Aurelius, an idol to me, was known for not being too loquacious, not being too garrulous, not being too ostentatious, not being too ornamental, not being too dressy, not being too flashy. And the thing that led to Caesar's demise was he was starting to become a tyrant. They said he would have very colorful drapes and was very focused on appearing opulent. Alexander the Great as well, with his inspiration from the Persians. And the Roman Republicans didn't take very fancy or privy to this or happy about it, and they killed him. They killed him. And Alexander the Great had to face a mutiny from his own men. Better to be like Epictetus, better to be like Seneca, people who embrace the stoic poverty but have the opulence of consciousness. For what good is ornamentation if it's ostentatious and doesn't serve the ideals in your mind? Playing soccer to catch a sucker. Appear weak when you're strong and strong when you're weak. Had another thing to say, but for the life of me, I can't remember it right now. I guess I'll bring it up in next lesson. Thank you.